WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's May Day in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Lagos. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Burkinabe authorities foil a new coup attempt with one suspect mastermind arrested. Ghana's Supreme Court adjourns hearing into the 4 vacancy seat saga for Tuesday.
And then we will adjourn for some hours for judgment because we would have had the opportunity of considering all that has been found.
Ivorian Popular Front elects Pascal Affi-N'Guessan as its presidential candidate.
It is with joy and enthusiasm, but also with a sense of responsibility that I will be your candidate, the candidate of the Ivorian Popular Front, the candidate of the people of Côte d'Ivoire. I am ready because I have a deep connection with all the regions and villages of Côte d'Ivoire. I understand the reality of their lives.
And Malian junta detains Australian mining executives amid a crackdown on foreign companies. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. This edition begins in the Sahel region, particularly Burkina Faso, where the authorities have reportedly foiled a new coup attempt. According to reports broadcast on public television, a suspected mastermind was arrested last Friday while attempting to recruit soldiers to join his cause. A sum of 5 billion CFA francs was allegedly set aside to bribe these soldiers. WADR's Abdullahi Hassan reports.
The Burkina Faso National Television reported on Saturday, November 9, that security forces detained an individual the previous day who allegedly aimed to overthrow the current government by rallying military support. An amount of 5 billion CFA francs was supposedly offered to entice the soldiers who played along with the scheme until the organizers' arrest on Friday, November 8. Public television displayed 8 suitcases filled with cash transported in a pickup truck and later deposited at the treasury. No officials have yet commented publicly on this new case, which follows recent revelations by the Minister of Security regarding an earlier coup attempt. Police Commissioner Mahamudu Sana stated that the previous plot involved several prominent figures, including former transitional president Paul Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who was recently expelled from the Burkinabe army, along with 15 other officers. They stand accused of breaching military dignity marked by intentions to take up arms against the state and jeopardize national defense, as stated in a dismissal decree signed by the current transitional president, Captain Ibrahim Traore.
Abdullahi Hassan with the details of Ouagadougou correspondent Martin Kabat's report. 3 executives from the Australian mining company Resolute Mining Limited have been detained in Bamako, Mali, for questioning over alleged falsification and public property damage. Among those detained is Terry Holoyan, the company's managing director. However, the executives associated with the company's Sema gold mine in southwestern Mali denied the charges. This detention follows increased scrutiny by the Malian military regime on foreign mining companies, including recent actions against Canada's Barrick Gold, which paid $81 million in settlement after a dispute in the state. Since the junta took power in 2020, it has pushed for fairer mining revenue distribution, aligning with Russia and distancing itself from France. In May, another Australian company, Firefench, transferred ownership of its Morila gold mine to a state-backed company for a symbolic $1 billion, reflecting growing local control over Mali's rich but largely foreign-dominated gold sector. Meanwhile, several Chadian soldiers, including 2 generals, have been killed and others wounded, though in fierce clashes with Bamako, that's Boko Haram militants in the Lake Chad region during the weekend. Local media reported that 6 soldiers lost their lives in the incident, which follows a deadly Boko Haram attack last month that killed 40 soldiers at a military base. The Saturday clash occurred amid ongoing operations launched by President Mahatma Idris Deby Itno, who has been actively leading a campaign against the militant group since the attack on the Bakaram base located about 480 kilometers from the capital in N'Djamena. Deby expressed his condolences to the families of the fallen soldiers and commended the bravery of the forces, stating their heroic efforts led to the defeat of the Boko Haram group that had infiltrated Chadian territory. In his message, the president reaffirmed the ongoing commitment of Chad's military in Operation Haskanat, aimed at eradicating Boko Haram and other insurgent groups from the region.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
We continue with more security matters. This time, the Gambian police support team completed a 2-week comprehensive training in Banjul. About 120 officers of the Gambia police force benefited from the German police support training. The event, held at the Gambia Police Training Academy, aimed to enhance the capacity of local law enforcement in crime scene management, forensic investigation, accident management, among others. Sankula Janko has more in this report.
The training focused on modern techniques for processing crime scenes, preserving evidence, conducting thorough investigations, managing accident, and enhancing recruitment skills, among other key areas. Commissioner Keba Dabo emphasized the critical importance of this training for the Gambia Police Force.
This training and donation of materials will undoubtedly help strengthen the efforts of the GPF in fight against crime and criminality in general. Among the donated items includes accident backpacks, reflective tapes, other valuable materials, just to name the few.
Specialized sessions include the use of advanced crime scene documentation tools, among other vital topics. Shara Bade is the senior project coordinator of the GPS team.
This will not only lead to changes within the GPF, but will also able to noticeable for the community and the Gambian citizens. Whether they are driving on the highway with so many new challenges, whether they are victims of violent offenses, or they need the help of a police officer, or even want to become a police officer.
The German police support team also recently provided vehicles and motorcycles to the Gambia Police for accident management on the Gambian roads. According to Commissioner Lamin King Cully, these supports have already resulted in a significant improvement on the rate of accidents.
Given the total figure of 28 deaths on Batin Highway, just a month of January and February. After the significant number of deaths, with the support of the German support team, with the people and motorbikes, from March to date, we were able to beat down the accidents to 4 deaths.
The training and equipment donation are expected to greatly enhance the effectiveness of the Gambia Police Force in combating crime and ensuring public safety nationwide. For Newslink West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Sankula Janko reporting from Banjul.
Let's now turn our attention to parliamentary issues, starting in Liberia, where ECOWAS is stepping up to mediate the ongoing political crisis within the House of Representatives, as Parliament Speaker Haja Memunatu Ibrahiman expresses serious concerns over the impasse, warning that it could destabilize the region. In 2 separate letters to Speaker Fonati Kofa and Deputy Speaker Thomas Fala, Speaker Ibrahiman stressed the fragile political situation in West Africa. She noted that recent coups in neighboring countries have worsened the climate. In light of this, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria, chairman of the ECOWAS Authorities of Heads of State, has directed ECOWAS Parliament to intervene and help resolve the crisis in Liberia. In response, Speaker Ibrahim confirmed that a 5-member ECOWAS delegation traveled to Monrovia to initiate mediation efforts. The delegation, which includes 2 deputy speakers and 2 representatives, is tasked with addressing the root causes of the political deadlock and encourage dialogue among the key stakeholders involved. We will bring you details of this development in the later part of this newscast. In Ghana, the Supreme Court will today, Monday, hear and deliver judgment in the case relating to the 4 parliamentary seats declared vacant by Speaker Aban Bagbane. Let's get the details with Nadi Ditete.
On October 30, the court instructed the Speaker to submit all necessary filings by November 6 after the Speaker's lawyer Thaddeus Sori asked for more time to confer with the Speaker and receive his instructions to help inform when the substantive case will be heard and judgment delivered. Here is the Attorney General Godfrey Wadr and the Chief Justice in excerpts from the court proceedings on October 30.
If the plaintiff, the first defendant, will be given the opportunity of filing his case by 6 November, but really, there will be nothing wrong, with all respect, if we come for a hearing on the 7th, unless 7th is not convenient to the court, and then the date for judgment can still stand. I think that in a matter of movement as this, in a matter where the public is really interested in it and all the cameras are, with all respect, it will be a little bit, if I may hesitantly use the word, incongruous for us to just adjourn straight away for judgment without a hearing, especially when same is enjoined by the rules.
Thank you, Attorney General. So you will address us on the 11th, and then we will adjourn for some hours for judgment, because we would have had the opportunity of considering all that has been found.
It will be recalled that the Supreme Court denied Speaker Aban Bagbane's request to overturn a previous ruling that stayed the enforcement of his declaration. In delivering the ruling, the Chief Justice stated that the grounds supporting the application lacked merit. The controversy surrounding the 4 vacant seats began when leader of the New Patriotic Party caucus in Parliament, Alexander Fenyo-Marking, filed a motion challenging the Speaker's declaration, prompting the court to pause the decision. As the Supreme Court prepares to interpret Article 97, its decision will shape the interpretation of parliamentary powers and potentially redefine the scope of legislative and judicial authority in Ghana. For WADR, Nadi Ditete, Accra.
Meanwhile, a latest development coming in from Ghana says the Supreme Court has adjourned the delivery of the verdict on the vacant seats to tomorrow, Tuesday, November 12. The Speaker of Parliament, Aban Bagbane, today failed to submit a statement of case in the Supreme Court regarding the legal dispute over the vacant parliamentary seats. After hearing presentation by the plaintiff and the Attorney General Godfrey Dami, the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonon announced the new date, indicating that the court is prepared to provide clarity on the matter. The Speaker's absence has raised concerns, as his representation was expected to play a key role in addressing the legal interpretations surrounding the parliamentary seats in question. The Attorney General expressed a strong disapproval of the Speaker's legal team's actions, particularly criticizing Thaddeus Sori, the Speaker's lawyer, for his absence. According to Mr. Damin, Mr. Sori's failure to appear in court or submit the required documents demonstrated a lack of respect for the judicial process. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of the top stories. Burkinabe authorities fuel a new coup attempt with 1 suspect arrested. Ghana's Supreme Court adjourns hearing into 4 vacant seats saga for Tuesday. Ivorian Popular Front elects Pascal Afin Gessan as its presidential candidate. And Malian junta detains Australian mining executives amid a crackdown on foreign companies. Still ahead, we have the press review, guest interview, and the sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Thanks for being there with us. As a reminder, we're streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's now take you to Cote d'Ivoire, where at least 20 people died in a tragic incident on Sunday, November 10. According to the services of the National Office of Civil Protection, 2 24-seater minibuses collided in the center of Cote d'Ivoire on the Ganoa-Sobre axis. The same source also specifies that about 10 people were injured. The causes of this tragic incident remain unknown. The authorities announced the opening of an investigation into the matter. As a reminder, last September, 18 people died in a collision between a bus and a tanker truck in the north of Cote d'Ivoire. Still in Cote d'Ivoire, with less than a year remaining until the presidential election scheduled for October 2025, candidates are beginning to emerge. Among the first to declare his candidacy is Pascal Affi N'Guessan, who has been selected as the candidate for the Ivorian Popular Front. This announcement took place over the weekend at the Felix Houphouët-Boigny Foundation in Yamoussoukro, the political capital, during the party's 5th Ordinary Congress. Christopher Aticho has the details.
The Ivorian Popular Front FPI elected Pascal Affi N'Guessan as the party's candidate for the upcoming election. With an overwhelming 99% of the votes, former Ivorian Prime Minister Pascal Affi N'Guessan expresses gratitude and readiness to carry the party's banner in the presidential race.
It is with joy and enthusiasm, but also with a sense of responsibility that I will be your candidate, the candidate of the Ivorian Popular Front, the candidate of the people of Cote d'Ivoire. I am ready because I have a deep connection with all the regions and villages of Cote d'Ivoire. I have traveled across our country, engaging with men and women from all walks of life. I understand the reality of their lives.
The president of FPI called on party members to unite and mobilize for the upcoming elections, championing his vision for the country, which he has called the renaissance of the nation for the happiness of the people.
This project is based on 7 pillars and involves 4 major changes: a change in the structure of the state in the exercise of power, a change in our approach to security and diplomacy, a change in our economic development model, a change in our social and cultural model. I know I can rely on a now united party. My victory, our victory, dear comrades, will be the victory of hope for a Cote d'Ivoire that is united, reconciled with itself, more inclusive, more just, more decentralized, truly democratic, a Cote d'Ivoire in which everyone finds their rightful place.
In addition, during the party's congress, several members were suspended for creating a faction within the party. This followed a dispute after the FBI ended its partnership with the ruling party RHDP in May. Dagbo Gode-Pierre, former vice president, and Sangari Isiaka, former secretary, were each given 5-year suspension. Diabate Bey, another party official, along with 7 other militants, were given 3-year suspensions.
Details of that report by Christopher Aticho, Fight by Abin Ade in Abidjan. In the area of capacity building, stakeholders in Nigeria are calling for increased youth involvement in governance and sustainable development to tackle the issue of irregular migration. At the inaugural Youth Migration Forum in Abuja, hosted by Migration Movement with the May Global Empowerment Initiative, participants discussed Nigeria's migration challenges. Usma Umar has more in this report.
Nigeria, a significant source of irregular migrants in Africa, faces thousands of young people embarking on perilous journeys each year due to limited economic opportunities. At the inaugural Youth Migration Forum in Abuja, hosted by the Migration Movement with May Global Empowerment Initiative, Osato Mary Igbinosun, the organizer of the forum, highlighted the importance of empowering youth to actively shape migration policies.
Most people that migrate are youth, but yes, this issue that affects us so much, we're not involved in its governance, and they say we're the future, and if we're really the future and we're not in this space, when it's time for us to take over migration governance, are we going to be ready? If we are not ready, what will happen to the structure that's already been built? So that's the whole idea of today's event, which is to pave the way to enhance youth participation in migration governance in Nigeria.
Keynote speaker Chief Obinna Nwaka from Committee of Youth Mobilization and Sensitization highlighted the need for stronger governance, education and mentorship to address migration challenges.
The paper talks about the role of youth in national development, and one of the key recommendations is what good governance, education and mentorship leadership.
Precious Uwubiti of Solina Center for International Development and Research, CIDA, and Joy Akut from the National Assembly underscored legislative efforts and youth-focused initiatives.
We have to be gender sensitive and integrate ideas in a way that it is addressing the gaps or challenges women face, as well as the gaps and challenges that men or boys face as well.
The legislative agenda for the 10th Assembly has youth empowerment as one of the agendas.
The forum's recommendations emphasize improved governance, education and mentorship opportunities to address the root causes of irregular migration and create safer pathways for young people, fostering a more secure future. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, we remain in the Nigerian capital, Abuja, with Usman for the press review.
We begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. Cement hits 8,800 naira per bag as costs of building materials skyrocket. There are riders here to this story. Iron Road jumps from 800,000 naira to 1.6 million naira in 1 year. Another rider, situation dashing our hope of owning homes. This is coming from citizens. Experts blame naira depreciation, transportation cost. Vandals destroy Lokoja Gwagwalada transmission line. Let's quickly move over to the New Telegraph newspaper. Serap to Tinubu. Serap, of course, is socio-economic rights and accountability projects. To Tinubu, giving cars, houses to judges, threat to judicial independence. Let's quickly move over to our last paper for consideration today, which is the Vanguard newspaper. Petrol. Banks loan for imports hit 3.5 trillion naira. There are many riders to this story. Marketers set to increase importation. Pump price higher than actual market cost, NLC alleges, that is Nigeria Labour Congress is alleging, claims Nigerians are being ripped off by marketers. This is still coming from the Nigeria Labour Congress. At $72 per barrel of oil, imported petrol should be cheaper in Nigeria. Experts are explaining there. Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, that is IPMAN, faults Nigeria Labour Congress, says market fully deregulated. And Dangote Refinery has commercial terms issue. An expert is explaining this right there. Very quickly, let's take this last story. Minimum wage. Nigeria Labour Congress directs workers in defaulting states to begin strike come December 1. There are states that are still unable to begin payment of the new national minimum wage. And the NLC has waded in to say that workers in such states should down tools come December 1st. And this is the much we have for you on this segment of Press Review, and it's back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Usman Umar, for the Press Review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, this segment of Newslink takes us back to Liberia, where ECOWAS is stepping in to mediate the ongoing political crisis within the House of Representatives, as Parliament Speaker Haja Memunatu Ibrahiman expresses serious concerns over the impasse. She noted that recent coups in neighboring countries have worsened the climate. Our guest is Abdullahi Kiatama, a Liberian political analyst.
The majority bloc does not have the magical 49 number to remove the speaker. The speaker does not have a quorum to run business. So both are in a dilemma. As group is in a dilemma. The speaker has the gavel, but he lost the flow. He lost the number required to run business, to do business. And so this is basically a stalemate. It could become a constitutional crisis if it prolongs, if it remains this way for a long time. And the president is clear that he's not, to some extent, he's silent on the matter, but he's clearly not openly involved on any side. It is a messy situation, but it's an internal legislative wrangling. The speaker has taken the issue to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said, no, we don't think this requires intervention. There's no constitutional violation yet that require our intervention. So In most cases, either one of the group made some concessions and say, look, we have to sacrifice the interest of the country, lay down our claims, and make sure we find a common ground, or make concession hoping that we can incentivize the other side to make concession.
How do you think this stalemate will affect the passage of the 2025 draft budget, of which the executive is now struggling on which block it should submit the draft budget to?
So I think it will affect it, obviously. If they're not in session, there's no way the budget can pass. So it will affect. It will also delay a lot of things. A lot of things depends on the budget. A lot of movement of things and commitments and execution of a lot of program initiatives in the country. It depends on the budget. It will affect the budget. There's no question. Now, in the concession, either the speaker say I'm resigning, or the other group say, look, we don't have the 49 required to remove the speaker. Let's compel the speaker to comply with certain demands, and let's do that. Or the president come up and say, look, this thing is messy, it's holding everything hostage, everything is stuck. We're not making movement. We need to make progress in our country. And this is what I propose solution. That's the only way.
Now, sir, what do you also make of the latest move by ECOWAS sending a 5-member delegation to Monrovia today to mediate the stalemate at the Liberian House of Representatives?
I think it's very naive. I'm very disappointed. This is democracy. This is messy. Parliaments got confusion and political differences. That does not require West Africa. I think to me, it's very outlandish. It's not what people do. That's not where. It's not a national crisis that bordering on violent conflict that require ECOWAS. People in Parliament disagree. There's fist fight in Parliament. This is not a national crisis that's boiling over, that's on the verge of exploding into violent street protests. For ECOWAS to say, no, these people do not have the capacity. No, we are not even exhausted all the legal channels and means and tools in Liberia. ECOWAS is an institution of last resort. When internal disagreement, someone just activate ECOWAS because they're in the Liberian legislature and they're part of ECOWAS parliament, and they just bring ECOWAS. And then next time you bring ECOWAS, nobody respect ECOWAS again.
Abdullahi Kiatama is a Liberian political analyst. Here is Sankule Janko with sports.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. A dominant display by Edo Queens saw the Nigerian outfit overcoming fellow debutants Commercial Bank of Ethiopia FC 3-0 at the Larzuli Stadium in Casablanca on Sunday evening. Brilliant goals taken by Essien, Folashade Lamilusi and Chukwuemeka OSIWA were enough to secure a CAF Women's Champions League debut victory for the WAFO B champions against the Ethiopian side. Youthful Edo Queens wasted no time in getting off their mark, pressing numbers forward and forcing errors of the CBA defense. The commanding win sees Edo top Group B with FC Masar behind them, following their 1-0 win over reigning champions Mamelodi Sundown Ladies earlier on the day, according to the CAF official website. In tennis, host Nigeria and Iraq each won 6 gold medals at the 2024 Lagos Value Jet Para Table Tennis Open over the weekend. The tournament held between 7 to 9 November featured competitors from United Kingdom, Iraq, Iran, Cameroon, Togo, Benin Republic, Cote d'Ivoire in both singles and doubles. Nigeria's Isao Ogunkunle, who won bronze in the 2024 Paralympic Games, was beaten by Iraq's Muntaj Al-Saraji in the men's single on the final day. And in basketball, host Senegal defeated their neighbors the Gambia in the under-16 main category in the 3x3 basketball tournament ahead of the 2026 Dakar Youth Summer Olympics. Meanwhile, Nigeria's under-16 female team claimed gold medal after defeating host Senegal. The Nigerian female youngsters clinched gold after beating their Senegalese counterparts 18-11 in the final on Sunday. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
We've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maudoju for the technical support. To interact with us via our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Augustine Kali. Good afternoon.
And many thanks